Hi, this is the Democratic Alliance Labour Report, Thursday the 4th of May 2023. May the 4th be with you. We've got some interesting topics to discuss today on the Labour Report, and thank you for tuning in and thank you for sharing. We're going to discuss the failure of Workers' Day, we're going to discuss the Tripartite Alliance, the unilateral targets set by the Minister of Employment and Labour for the equity programs. It's budget time again. We're going to have a possible discussion about the countrywide shutdown of Eskom if it happens. Tourism in the Western Province and how our national government has failed the Western Province. And then finally I'm going to talk about the ANC, who seem to now come to the realization that they're not going to be the governing party very soon. So thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate it. I'm Michael Bagram. I'm the Labour spokesperson for the Democratic Alliance, and it is Thursday the 4th of May 2023. Well, first of all, the Workers' Day. We did have a discussion last week about Workers' Day. I predicted it wouldn't be all that great, and that many of the trade unions had very little to celebrate. Well, what we do know now is that the Workers' Day rallies were they were a damp squib. We know that in Bloemfontein, Gwedi Mantashe went to speak to people. We know in East London, very few people arrived. We know that people booed ANC speakers off the stage. It looks like we've come to the end of that alliance. It only exists in name only, and I'm hoping that when we get to the elections or close to the elections, that in fact the trade unions finally state that the alliance is dead, it's broken, and that they must vote where their heart leads them. Not for the ANC as of rote. It shouldn't happen like that at all. And so where I'm coming from, I strongly believe that the ANC is not going to be able to rely on a COSATU vote, and that they're not going to be able to rely on the administration that they've always relied on from COSATU. Be interesting. It'll be very interesting. It's a watershed election. Please make sure that you are registered. It's going to be around about the middle of 2024. There are going to be registration weekends. I will keep you up to date with that. But it's absolutely vital that every single vote is now a vital vote, because the DA is coming very close to the same numbers as the ANC has got, and now it comes down to the wire where we're going to have coalitions, and the coalitions, for all intents and purposes, will be the governing bodies coming up in the latter part of 2024. And of course, once we have that, then the DA can recreate what they've done in the Western Province in terms of the employment figures, which has been growing fast, as opposed to the death of many of the provinces that we're seeing in the country. Now, the Minister of Labour was tackled at the Labour Portfolio meeting. I was in that meeting. It was a virtual meeting, but he was tackled about his unilateral targets that he's going to be setting. And he was asked if he was going to consult and negotiate with the various sectors for the targets of setting how many black people, how many women, how many disabled, and whatever. And the minister disappointed us once again. It's a communist minister who said that he's going to set the figures. He will consult, but you know what consulting means? Consulting means I hear you, but I've decided otherwise. It's a real problem, and I don't think we're going to have any joy out of the current Minister of Employment and Labour. And I think he also knows that within, say, 16 months from now, he will be removed. And we'll probably have a new Minister of Employment and Labour, and someone who's going to worry about the workers of South Africa and worry about the workforce itself and how to grow it. Because the ANC has failed us miserably. We've had shrinkage of employment for over the past 10 years. So just put that in your pipe and smoke it. It's a real problem. So the unilateral targets to be set by the minister hopefully will be targets for 1 year only, and then we can try and get rid of the employment equity legislation altogether. It's destroying business, and in particular small businesses. It's budget time again. It's actually always interesting when we've got budget time in Parliament. We've been through the route of preparing for this budget. Obviously, the ANC still has power in the portfolio committees. They've still got an over 50% vote. And as an outsider, the DA, being the official opposition, has tried to steer that budget into a more positive result, but we haven't been that successful, and to a large degree I'm very unhappy with the budget that's being proposed with the Department of Employment and Labour. For instance, I'm not going to go through it all, I don't have the time, but for instance, the only functioning unit in the Department of Employment and Labour is the CCMA, the Commission for Conciliation, Mediation and Arbitration. That's the unit that's working. And guess what? What unit is going to have a decrease in its budget? Is the CCMA. Productivity SA, where we are the second worst productivity in the world, will probably get an increase. I mean, it's absurd. We have the UIF, the Unemployment Insurance Fund, who didn't even bother to put in figures for the budget. They just snubbed the entire process. No one's going to do anything about it. We've complained bitterly. They've been useless. They've let the country down. They've let the workers of South Africa down, but they didn't even put in a budget, and then they'll get a budget. No problem. I mean, it's just absurd. The same with the compensation fund. They've put in nothing. They've proposed nothing, and they'll get their same budget. They've also failed the workers of South Africa, and any business that has tried to get any proper figures out of the compensation fund will tell you how useless they are. I mean, it's unbelievable. So you have two of the biggest entities, the two entities that interact with the public and the business community, have just not bothered to follow the process at all. It's just unbelievably weird as it is. And no one seems to worry. Now, there's another issue that we need to discuss, and that is the possibility of Eskom having a countrywide shutdown. It is only a possibility, and I've said before, it's not a probability, it's only a possibility. But when raised that with the Portfolio Committee, with NEDLAC, they don't seem to have even bothered to think about it. So if we have a countrywide shutdown for, say, 2 or 3 days, what do you do with the workforce? Who pays them? How are they going to claim from the UIF? What's going to go from a labour point of view? Yes, there'll be other disastrous things, like you won't be able to get sewerage, you won't be able to have cell phone coverage, there will be no communication, etc., etc. What about the staff of South Africa? And no one seems to have worried about it at all. I've got hold of the Department of Labour. They've got no plans whatsoever. We're going to have to start putting plans together from the Democratic Alliance, is what we're doing. Now, there's one industry that's working in the Western Province, and it's working really well, is tourism. And tourism is boosting the income of the Western Province enormously. What's happening? Well, we have noted that the government somehow has destroyed the application for the e-visas, for electronic visas. It seems to be a complete and utter mess. And I don't know why they're doing that, but they are somehow messing up the e-visas. And they know that it's the Western Province that is suffering the most in this exercise. We're going to have to challenge them, might even have to go to court. And then obviously the ANC knows that this is their last time. They're not going to be the governing party come end of 2024. Either it'll be them with others or the DA with others, but it won't be business as usual. And I can see people ratcheting up the theft, the fraud, everything that's wrong with government currently is getting worse. It's unfortunate, but it is getting worse. And as people are knowing, they're going to be rats leaving the ship. They know that at the end of the day, they're going to be thrown off that ship, and they're trying to take as much as they can right now. So thank you for listening to me. It's Michael Bagram. I'm the DA Labour spokesperson. It's Thursday, the 4th of May, 2023. Please share this. Thank you very much.